Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today as you tune in to the expression of consciousness. Myself and Sofya tonight are going to be talking about that we are energy and we are multi-dimensional beings. So how are you today, Soph?
I'm doing good now. I've had a little bit of challenges over the last couple of days, but I'm much better this evening, so that's good. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. Challenges, when you say, are you referring to challenges in energy, vibration change and up and down moods and stuff like that?
Yeah, because I've always been very open with the fact of my journey with like anxiety, which was mainly solved by getting back onto my spiritual journey.
Yeah.
That showed me that really my anxiety tends to be a reflection of what's going on with me spiritually, rather than the doctors are determined that I have like, you know, it's a situation thing. It's triggered by situations.
Yeah.
But, you know, like they said, it's anxiety that induces depression. And it can be a chemical thing. And they tried all, you know, different tablets and therapies and stuff. And some therapy did help a lot, especially for the depression side. The depression side was healed with therapy. But anxiety, especially after I had a big incident with a fire a couple of years back, it became a big part of my life. So to feel anxiety all of a sudden over the last couple of days and feel it really bad, it made me like worry, because I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm on my spiritual journey. I'm doing my thing. Why am I feeling this anxiety?
Yeah.
So I remember I spoke to you earlier on about we're going to do this. And after I spoke to you, I went away and watched a YouTube video because I had an inkling that it was spiritual. So then I talked it out in my own mind that this is to do with everything that's going on at the moment. There's different planetary things going on. We're in the shadow phase after the retrograde. So that always brings with it a certain amount of thoughts.
Unsettling times.
Yeah. And then, so I did like a short meditation. I was holding a piece of rose quartz and a piece of obsidian. I had the rose quartz in my right hand for receiving in love, and the obsidian for taking out, you know, any like negative energy or heavy energy. And I just done a breathing exercise, closed my eyes, and I didn't think of anything. If anything come to me, I just let it roll away.
Yeah.
Was fit breathing in the positive and breathing out any negative. And after that, it just dissipated then. And I just lit candles and had some clearing incense and stuff burning on a charcoal. And I felt much better then. But I'm lucky in a way, because I'm in the position I am in to be on this journey, and I've been on it for so long that I've been able to come to the point where I could do that and my anxiety solved within half an hour.
Yeah.
But it did take me over a day to even, I think it was after we spoke, because I think I touched on it briefly with you, that to think, oh, well, actually, this is a spiritual thing. Remember, so if you went away when you were dedicating yourself properly to your spiritual practice. So it's kind of a clue maybe that I think I took my eye off the ball spiritually a bit for the last week, because I've been thinking a lot about because I'm doing a university course, my university work. So it's hard to get the balance of doing that logical writing,
Yeah.
doing my spiritual side. I find sometimes that to balance between the two, and I'm also happily be spiritual.
Yeah.
And let me write an essay about what dead people said.
Yeah. I think we're all feeling that change in energy at the moment, with everything that's going on, with the change in the energy on the planet. We're all feeling it. There's obviously a new energy coming in, and because it's new, it's unfamiliar, so it makes us feel unsettled.
Yeah.
I think the majority of us don't like change, and we've got to learn to just accept it and flow with it rather than fight against it, you know. As we were saying, we are all energy, and everything is energy. And because we're constant transmitters and receivers of energy, there's cause and effect of everything when it comes to energy. And you're going to feel that energy one way or another, and how it affects you depends what that energy is. You can be feeling something emotional from a person around you. As an empath, you can feel things emotionally from the planet on a general scale.
Yeah.
Because we're receiving it all the time. But we've got to learn to control that. Sorry. Because obviously absorbing an energy that's an outer influence, that's negative, that's not ours, it's not good to us all the time.
No.
I see a lot of posts on Facebook and people say, oh, I'm feeling this. Who's feeling like this today? Why have you woke up feeling somebody else's pain? It doesn't make sense to me. Being empathic, you are, you're sympathetic and you're caring for the world and the people in it, but you shouldn't wake up and go out throughout your day feeling other people's pain randomly.
No, it's not healthy.
It's not healthy, because you've got to clear that and your own and everything else that's going on.
This is something I was thinking about today, because I did something short about it in one of my own videos before. But I was thinking to myself, how does an empath determine that, what's their own? And there's one of the techniques that I said to people was, look at the logic of the situation. Is there anything that's happened that would have put you in anxiety? Is there anything happening? Is there anything stressful going on in your life? If you were just fine and suddenly you feel feelings that just come from nowhere, there's a good chance they're not yours. Yeah. If you suddenly feel sad and nothing's happened, there's a good chance it's not you. So then the best thing you can do is get rid of it. Do some chanting, do some affirmations, get mindful, do a little meditation, put your candles on, center yourself, because usually anxiety is a sign that something's out of alignment.
Yeah.
And so if there's something out of alignment, even go on YouTube and do a chakra meditation, balance your chakras. There's singing bowl ones where they go through each chakra to tune your chakras.
Yeah.
You can just envision aligning yourself as well, can't you? And envision grounding yourself, because sometimes grounding is a problem as well with anxiety, that you're not grounded, so you're kind of space floating, overthinking, and not keeping yourself firm. So I think it's important to work out if it's your anxiety, and if it's not,
Yeah.
you can release it, because if you don't release it, you are owning it as part of your identity. It's you.
Yeah.
I have anxiety. I am anxiety. I am anxious. And it might be somebody else's. It could be the person you live with for some people. They
Yeah.
say sometimes, if you, before you diagnose yourself with something, look at who's around you.
Yeah, very true. When we're in that constant energy, it will affect you. You know, it can and will affect you. And we have got to find ways of learning to detach from that. You know, meditation is one way of clearing your energy and using intention of the universe to cleanse your being. Grounding is vitally important. Going on, you know, on grass, etc., and taking your shoes off, because being barefoot, that's how we connect properly. Because rubber sole shoes and stuff, it creates a layer between our energies and the earth, and it's not allowing a full natural flow when we're walking day to day. Because if we were walking barefoot, we would be tuning into the earth all the time.
I think that's why people in like African villages and stuff have still managed to keep their, you know, there's a lot of kept their deep spirituality, because they're mainly, they walk in either barefoot or things that have been made naturally.
Yeah.
So they're still, you know, they're still connected with the earth. And I think our disconnection happened when life became so like built up and cosmopolitan, and you know, and a lot of people have even got a garden.
Yeah.
I think something you posted earlier on has just come to mind about the electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, and this is just me thinking off the top of my head to even ask you right now, because it just come to me. So in that case then, as you said, it can go 5 foot out. Surely then when people are in like shopping centres and stuff and it's busy, and they might get a feeling of anxiety, that could be from multiple connections around in your energetic field, couldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, the human aura is approximately 5 feet either way around you, you know, so you know, 5 feet front, side, backwards, etc. And because the mind, we can control our aura with the mind. The aura will expand itself and take in energy from places, you know, people brushing past you and so on. You will always absorb energy. It won't necessarily always affect you, but you can feel it will absorb into you. And I think that's why empaths feel other people's problems, because their aura's expanded and they're all opened up. Generally when we're doing day-to-day stuff, we can just say to our mind, I retract my aura, I withdraw my aura into me, and then your aura shrinks to inches then. So then you're not so exposed on an energy level when you are out and about.
It's funny that is, you know, because there's times like, you know, someone has upset me or something, which can happen. And I'm sitting there, and people have said to me they feel like almost like the energy in the room go cold, because I feel myself pull in my energy,
Mm.
you know, like hold it to myself, like
Yeah.
protect. But I'm not doing it consciously, but I can feel my withdrawal. But obviously what I'm feeling then is my aura just coming in, because people always say that when it happens, they can feel it straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, we are energy, as we keep saying. And we're multi-dimensional. We are not the reality we are in is not the only awareness we can attain to, what we can connect to. We tap into we tap into multi dimensions every day of our lives.
Yeah.
From the moment we're born, we've come from one dimension. When we're born, you know, when life is created, you've come from energy first. You've come from one dimension into this reality. You've come from the etheric into the 3D reality, into this 3D physical matrix. And then you live in your awakened state. That's the reality you're in. That's the dimension you're in there.
Yeah.
When you go to sleep, you go into another dimension. You go back to the etherical world, the world where we came from, what we are, energy. We are back in that. We're back to our soul authentic self.
Yeah.
And we do that all the time. So we are really stepping in and out of the third dimension in the etherical world every day of our lives, but we don't know it, or the majority of us don't know it, you know. And then meditation is another form of going back into that other altered state, that other reality.
Sometimes as I'm falling asleep, I think you get into that space as well where you feel yourself go to somewhere else and you're in a different scene, but it feels really real.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be a time when you can kind of dimension hop a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. We are multi-dimensional and we are multi-reality. So when we're born, we've come from one dimension into another. When we sleep, we go back into another dimension. We go back to the etheric. When we meditate, that's another way of doing it, and another way of going back into another reality. And everybody can do it. You know, we all have that natural sixth sense. Okay. And the part of the sixth sense is to do with your clairsentience, your clairvoyance, and your clairaudience. And then we'll all have different scales of those senses. And because we are energy on a natural level, anything that comes within your awareness, you are going to come aware of it. You will feel the change of it. Even if people are not that spiritually consciously aware, they will have very brief moments where they have an experience to do with the universe, with where their sixth sense plays. You know,
people have the moments, don't they? There's something told me to not, or as I walked in the room, I felt, you know, like the atmosphere, and they don't realize that that's a sixth sense.
yeah.
Something told me not to catch that bus, and then they find out that that bus had a crash. But they don't realize that was their sixth sense kicking in, and message being passed to them like, don't get on that bus.
Yeah. That's your gut instinct. That's your soul giving you divine guidance. I've had a prime example of that. It must have been about 15 years ago, I bet. I'd stopped at friends the night before, you know, had a few drinks, etc. And then they were dropping me home the next morning. And I was like, yeah, well, we'll plan to set off about 11 o'clock in the morning to get me home. And they suddenly decided to water their tomatoes and stuff, right? And when they done it, when they started to do it, I instantly thought, there's a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I truly believe where you are now in life is where you're precisely supposed to be at this point. And at that moment, I was where I was supposed to be. And my friend said, look, I'm going to be 5-10 minutes. I was like, yeah, no worries. So anyway, we eventually set off, and we come towards one of the main roads near where I live. And there was a pile up on an island, and the ambulance had probably just literally turned up, and because the ambulance drivers were getting out as we were coming to the island. So we knew we missed that accident by 3 or 4 minutes. And where the accident was, that really was our initial lane we should have been in, needed to be in.
Yeah.
To get to my house. So I believe, call it divine intervention if you will, but is it divine intervention, or are you resonating to the synchronicities of the vibration of the universe that's telling you to be where you're supposed to be? Or yeah, it's telling you where to be when you're supposed to be somewhere. You know, it's like when I was in Dover in December, when I did my mediumship demo down there, and on the morning I was due to leave, one of my friends from the spirit world came forward, Pauline, who mentored me and helped me become a mentor. She was talking to me in my mind about something. And I went out into my friend's garden to have a cigarette, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden I heard this plop sound. And I looked around, I thought, what was that? And I looked on the floor, and I said there was bird muck about 6 or 7 inches away from me on my right side. And I laughed. And the universe said to me in that time, you are always in the right place at the right time if you follow the synchronicities of the universe.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was talking to a mate, and I followed my gut. I was talking to the spirit world, and I went outside, and I was just in flow of the moment to go and have a cigarette in the garden whilst communicating with spirit, and just happened to stand in the right place without getting bird crap on me. You see? Some people may say, well, that's just pure coincidence. But is it?
It's they say there's no such thing as coincidence, don't they? That everything is in its rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, they say there's no, that's what a lot of spiritual people say, like spiritual people say a lot of stuff, but yeah, you hear people who say like they were driving along in their car and they were falling asleep or something, and someone, you know, shouts in their ear.
Yeah.
Wake up. And it stopped them just missing a lorry or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you go, that sounds like when you guys have been working really hard on getting you somewhere and you were just about to mess up. They have, you know, that's the time you haven't called them to help you.
Yeah.
Come in.
Yeah, I do think, you know, if you are here, this might sound a bit judgmental, but I think generally, and this will probably apply with every human being on the planet, the simple truth is we are meant to be here for a set period of time. You've created a contract, a soul contract. So for instance, you won't know that, for argument's sake, you are meant to be here for 89 years. But in that 89 years, you are supposed to do something and learn something and evolve a particular way. But I think if you do go off track, and there was a moment where there was a possibility that you could pass to the spirit world when you shouldn't, I do believe that the spirit world does step in.
They did in my fire. Someone shook me awake and said, "Wake up."
Yeah.
Soph, wake up, Soph, wake up, and then pulled me up in my bed. And that's why I woke up. And even the police and the fire brigade said they can't believe anyone, me and my 3 children, survived it first. It was the worst they've seen in 10 years. And then that none of us were burnt. My son, who had to be in hospital in a induced coma, the nurses said kids who usually come in with his level of inhalation are in for weeks, but he was in for like 5 days.
Yeah.
So we were really, and I've been told by priests as well, like African priests, that we were really, our ancestors crowded in because they couldn't stop the fire, but they could stop it, get us out. One phone call went to the fire brigade that night because it was 1:15 in the morning, so people could have not known it was happening. And the fire brigade got there in 4 minutes. The ambulance just after, and the police just after that. Everything was just there. It was like amazing. So I think there are times when they know, they're like, this weren't the plan. Come on.
Yeah. Well, we are part of a consciousness and energy that is all knowing, even though we're not all knowing in this point of awareness. I think as an individual, we're not all knowing, and I don't think, well, how are you going to become all knowing?
Can't be.
You're going to have to do some serious soul evolvement work in order to know everything. But as an individual experience, as an individual consciousness, you are still part of the collective whole of the knowing all, of the all-knowing.
In the Kabbalion, they say we are all part of the all, and the all is part of us.
Yes.
But we're not the all. So the all is perfect. The all cannot be questioned, cannot be defined. But we can be defined in such a sense. So we're not the all. We can, especially in our human form, can make so many mistakes and do so many things, and we're in the words of some like people who've been channeled and stuff, like beings. Humans are seen as being quite
primitive.
Yeah, not evolved in our ways. We going into their place is more danger to them than them coming in our place. We taint places because we're not evolved enough.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here, to evolve and learn and understand, because humanity does have a lot of primitive ideas in comparison to other dimensions of the universe, but it's not necessarily humanity's fault. It's just the way it is, because it's if you were more aware than you are now, you wouldn't need to be here. Each planet within our system has its own specific reason of being created. It's its own specific field. It's its own specific dimension for the soul to invest in an experience, to gather a form of understanding to help the evolvement of the soul. They're not, you know, all the planets we see in our system are not just there to look pretty. They serve a purpose. And the universe is not what we think it is. The way I understand now, personally, to me, my opinion is the universe is not a physical reality. It's not a physical dimension. It is etheric, it is light, it is just vibration. And when we are told astronauts leave our Earth's orbit to go and land on another planet in their physical spaceship, it's not happening. Not in my opinion. I don't believe it does, because through my understanding and my awareness, everything is dimensional, or everything is a wave of energy, and it changes. The slower the vibration, the more physical it is. The faster and the higher the vibration you go, the less dense it is. So the higher the vibration you enter, becomes more holographic. It's obviously not solid. The Van Allen belt, from my understanding, is like the outer rim, or the crust or the border of the fifth dimension, from this 3D physical matrix to the etheric. That's what the Van Allen belt is. And I feel, from my understanding, the physical body can't go beyond that.
I've heard that as well.
It will destroy the physical body, but not the light body, because obviously the light body and the soul body and your etherical body, they can all transcend past that Van Allen belt, past that fifth dimensional belt.
I've heard that said recently as well by a guy that I watch on YouTube. He said that physical things can't get past the Van Allen belt.
No.
He said he doesn't believe this idea that the things we're seeing all in the sky are satellites by Elon Musk. That because people are saying that they're beyond the Van Allen belt, and he said you couldn't put satellites beyond them. He said they just would disintegrate.
I don't think the globe spins, and I know that sounds a controversial theory. I don't know. I can't prove it does or it doesn't, but that theory that our planet spins once every 24 hours, I don't buy it.
You know, I've got in 2020, I would tell you that nearly everything that we've ever been taught, I don't no longer believe anything. I'm just like, really, on everything, because I'm like, the whole illusion, like there's a matrix, and the matrix isn't bad. It's who's controlling the matrix. The matrix is almost necessary for there to be a framework for our existence, and for whatever the illusion and perception is that we place in that. But we're supposed to be sovereign, and we're supposed to have control over the matrix as the humans, not the type of beings. Some people will say the reptilians, some say the archons, some say the Anunnaki, whoever people say, but there's beings that beyond the physical elite.
Yeah.
They reckon some of the physical elite are disguise. Not very good disguise, some of them, to be fair. They control the matrix, but they're not supposed to. We're supposed to be sovereign, and it's supposed to be our matrix.
Yeah. And those species you speak of, the Anunnaki, the reptilians, they're in a different dimension as well. Although there are hybrids within our world.
Yeah, there's some who are physically here, and they're not. And like us, they're not all bad either. They're not all.
No.
They're not. People think as soon as you hear reptilians, they must be all evil. They're not. They have the elite super race ones who are the ones who want to control everything.
Yeah.
But the ones that are not like them, the same like us. Like, we're not like the deep state. We're not like the cabal, but we're humans too. But we're not like them. We don't want to hurt children or do anything. So it's the same with any beings. There's ones who have good intentions and ones who don't have good intentions.
Yeah. Extraterrestrial beings like Greys, reptilians, Draco, all these different species we know of, there isn't like it doesn't work in the sense that reptilians are bad, the Greys are bad, the Draco are bad. There's good and bad in all of those species, the same as humans. You can't say the human race as a whole is a bad species. There is elements within the species, or there's individuals within our species that act a particular way that we don't like.
And then
And extraterrestrial beings are exactly the same.
Bad is subjective as well, isn't it? Like, obviously, like again in the Kabbalion, there's a polarity, good and bad. Like, where does good end and bad start? There's a gradient. So what I might see as bad, somebody else will see as good. In a different country, people might be able to marry kids at 12. In this country, we call that paedophilia. In their country, that's to them, that's not bad.
Yeah.
But of course it is. So bad is almost a matter of your perception of what something is, because some people will say something. Some countries, it's okay to kill someone. This country, it's not. So in this country, that's bad.
And this is why man's law is something that we really shouldn't follow, because man's law is all over the place. Like you say, there is laws in one country that are different to others for the same crime or for doing something that we don't find acceptable. Universal law is what it is. Universal law state, you can't take a life without consent. So we can say meat eaters are breaking universal law. Did we have consent to kill that animal? No.
And then another set of people will say that was their contract.
Yeah, that's true. Animals are that is true. The animals do come into our reality from a level of consciousness, and they know that they are going to be food. But obviously it will happen that way because of the level of our consciousness, because of our programming, because we've been programmed to eat meat, to be carnivores, but we should be eating fruits and vegetables. And it's all, look, universal law is about consent and not causing harm and distress to others.
This is what I think about the police, especially the ones in America. The things that they do, which cause distress and harm to all types of people. Obviously, recently we've had the race one being prominent more, but I've seen different videos from all types of people who get affected by the way they are. And I think to myself, so you go to work and you can lawfully kill people and there'd be no consequence because you've got a uniform on.
Yeah.
But the universal law, you are now bound by the law of karma.
Yeah.
Because you've killed someone. They might just had a bad day. They didn't have the donuts you wanted to eat in your car. But you took someone's life, but if somebody else does it, they go to prison, which is a human consequence, but that doesn't still get you out of a karmic law that the karma might not be happy that prison was the balance for it.
Yeah.
But that, because, like you said, human law says the executioner who executes a murderer, he's okay because it's his job, and the murderer murders someone. But then have you just passed on the? Is it a rolling karmic problem then? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You could say we are in debt with karmic energy, because the truth is, my understanding, the truth I see it is, the reality we're living in now and the mess we're in now, we all created. It's our fault. Through our previous incarnations and our lack of knowing and doing X, Y, and Z, whatever we've done in our past lives, has brought us to this point. And we clearly haven't learned. And that might sound harsh. Yes, humanity has come a long way. That's, that is a truth.
In some ways, yeah.
But in some ways, humanity has not evolved at all.
The only evolvement now is technology. There's not, in reality, we haven't come very far spiritually. In fact, if you think of ancestors and stuff and the things they were doing, we've degenerated. And I was watching a video before, like earlier on, and she had like channeled some galactic federation.
Yeah.
About the stuff that's been happening with children on this planet. But what they said is that this has always happened, and it's happened to all of us who are here right now. We've been some part of them child trafficking type of things, because it's since the beginning of time there's been sacrifice and everything, and our souls who are here now have all been the child, have been the perpetrators, everything, which is a hard pill to swallow, but who can't really argue with, because I don't know. But the idea, what she was saying was, them elite reptilians and all, whoever's running it all behind the scenes, the dark forces, doing this stuff puts like a damage on people's souls. So they specifically usually target children who have got psychic abilities and stuff, and it puts a damage on that line. That each time they come back, they have to first get over a problem in their soul first, like soul damage, before they can even find themselves again. So she said that's why most of us who are like intuitives and stuff will feel such a deep sense of wanting to change what's going on right now, because we know we've been in that process somewhere. She said even the children who are there right now, they're the ones who chose to come back with us now, knowing what was going to happen. But we who are out here, the one, she said, anyone who's watching the video escaped at some point, and now we're tasked with this time in history. Now we have to do what we didn't do before and change it. And that's a big soul thing, to think that such trauma has been put on people's bloodlines and individual souls as well. And as you know, the individual souls is almost an illusion anyway, because it's a collective. So it's like, she said, anyone who's out and free at the moment, we were the people who escaped. And I was like, I'm just saying it's something I'd watch, like I haven't even had time to process it yet. But I almost I feel something in it makes sense. Time is, like we was talking about earlier, time is not linear. So it's past, present, and future sits on top of each other in a swirl. So anything that has happened in the past, with all our incarnations, is happening right now. So there is that trauma in us. If things happen to us in another life, or if we perpetrated hurt, it's all in there happening. at one time.
Yeah.
Which makes the complexity of the soul, because it stores some memories that we don't always consciously know about as in our human form, unless we have like some form of regression therapy or something.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. It was an interesting idea. It's one I'm going to have to sit with.
I agree with what she's saying, because, you know, we write a contract and the soul has to go through experiences to understand something, and the soul will choose to take its own life in a physical lifetime. The soul will choose to be experienced, to be murdered. The soul will choose to be experienced, to be abused, or be the abuser, or be the murderer. You have to experience everything. If you want to be all knowing, you have to experience it. And your soul awareness has to experience everything good and bad. And I know this is a very hard pill to swallow, that people say, what, those that took their own life, they were contracted to do so. Well, there would be a percentage that maybe wasn't, and they did because they couldn't, that they struggled with life so much, and they, you know, they did what they did, unfortunately, you know, and they had to leave the earth. And then there are souls that are on the earth where it has to learn what suicide is. It has to understand all the elements that are connected to that situation. So karmic lessons, everything, what it will do, what the soul has to understand what the ripple effect of that action is on itself, and what it does to others. Because what you do to others are due to self. Because we are all one. We are all, but we only have individual experiences. But we're all from the one. So each of us individually write contracts to come into this physical reality and live a specific kind of life, and have to go through certain situations for the soul to grow.
Yeah.
And that soul will choose to be murdered, suicide, everything horrible you can think of. All the worst thoughts that you can think of right now, the soul may have chose to go through those elements. And obviously those that do certain bad acts, they may have chose to do that act for the soul to understand the karmic consequence of it. And those that when we're in, and because we're all one, and we're all connected to consciousness and the source, everybody you know within your physical life, everybody you've met within your physical life, are all to do with your physical previous incarnations, because they're part of your soul group. So that soul group is evolving its own way, and it's on its own path of destiny of evolution between you, I guess.
I saw an argument today against soul contracts, and it was in the comments of the video that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
A few people saying that they don't think that soul contracts exist. They
Okay.
said what soul contracts is an illusion that's been given to us by the elite, so that we accept suffering and we accept what we go through, and we're told that we decided it. That I just thought I'd give this idea, because this is the first time I'd heard this. So
it's possible, we don't know.
I know. All I know is I know nothing this year.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah. But you see, that's the whole process of growth. The more you learn, the more confused you become, and therefore you have to ask more questions. You know, we were talking on the phone this morning, and I found out, you know, the electric had run out in the house, and I was like, I have to get the electric key. And we started talking about, and I said, I've got the key, I've got the secret, and we started laughing about the song. And then we got talking about my book, where we have the key. The key is in the heart, and the keyhole is in the third eye. And we have to, the key is, we have to put the key from the heart within the third eye, and we have to blend the two.
I imagined doing that earlier after I spoke to you. Actually, I imagined it like doing the process of connecting the third eye with the heart and using it to unlock.
Yeah.
It felt really powerful. It really pulsated my third eye.
And I think that's why they made me design the cover of my book the way it was. Where's my book? Let me just show you.
Have you got one to show people?
So this is why they told about a key with the heart, and then there's the keyhole in the third eye.
It's clever, that is.
You have to connect the two in order to connect to the crown, which, you know, where the Merkaba is. The Merkaba represents the divine feminine and divine masculine, as above, so below, you know, and balance. And you have to come into the yin and yang and balance. So the contracts, I would say that they are created, and we have to go through experiences to create balance of understanding of the good and bad.
Yeah.
But when, you know, but we've incarnated many times, and a lot of our incarnations, we wouldn't have been spiritually aware. We would have just gone through life doing whatever.
There was a massive time for humanity. I sense that the majority of the world was not spiritually aware at all, because I think religion took over.
I was just going to say the exact same thing, where religion took control for a while.
And then fear, through like religion, for its sins and everything. And then obviously law and politics and everything. It just became about the world being like a marketplace, and everyone having to survive and make money. So spirituality goes on the back burner. Mm. Think about, I don't know if you've heard of the laws, like the laws of Mahat, and that Mahat is in the Kemetic spirituality. She's a goddess who weighs your heart against a feather when you die.
Right.
And it takes that literally, that if your heart weighs heavier than the feather, you can't pass on into the Imantet, which is the afterworld, which Osar, also known as Osiris, sees over. This is the world of the dead. You can't pass into there if your heart weighs heavier than Mahat's feather. But when I read the Emerald Tablets, and then things I've heard since, show me that it's not about the heart weighing. It's about the feeling in your heart. If how you've lived your life has created a heaviness in your heart, because you know that because you are judging you. At the end of the day, you are judging you, because we're all in this together. So any judgment, when we judge others or judge ourselves, it's a judgment. You get what I mean? So if your heart, when you pass, is full of stuff that you're heavy about, that's when your heart will weigh heavy. So what you're supposed to do is live life with joy. Live life in love, live life with unconditional love, feel light, feel happy, enjoy as much as you can. Don't have guilt for, obviously if you do things that hurt other people, then you can't, you'd have to be a psychopath to have joy in that. Which
Yeah.
I'm talking about your average person, not a narcissistic sociopath or something. But if you live your truth and live in the service of others, helping humanity, but you've got to heal you first before you can help humanity, because you have to heal you in this time now so that you can heal you who was caught up in them things in the past time. You have to heal this layer, or you can't heal the other layers.
Yeah.
It's like plaster over a deep wound. It don't work. So it's a case of we have to live light. We have to make ourselves light. Burden of sin in religion weighs you down. The idea is what we're told what's right and wrong by other people. It all weighs you down. Guilt weighs you down. And then debt in another language means guilt as well, one of the European languages. So they often like us to be in debt. They like us to have credit cards and stuff, because debt adds that weight, that like guilt. So all of it weighs us down. So we're not spiritually light.
Yeah.
And that Kemetic spirituality was one of the first ones, because it was the Kemet was where Egypt was, but a lot of Africa, it wasn't just Egypt. Like, so that was their way of telling us your heart has to be light. And in my mind, the only way your heart can be light is if you live with love being your focus. If you live with guided by love, because a lot of other emotions are heavy. Real love, when I say love, people think I'm talking about human love for each other. That's not even. Loving on a spiritual level is nothing like human love. You could love everyone spiritually and be fine not to like all humans. You don't have to love people's human form.
Yeah.
But you can push unconditional love out into the collective and love everyone's soul potential, because we're all part of that same soul. So to love yourself, truly, you really have to love everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, as you were talking about being loving and showing love, yeah, you're right. And as you were saying that, a thought coming to my mind, when I done my workshop in Leicester in January, and I had about 12, 14 students there was, at the start, I was talking about energy and with consciousness and so on. And I said to them all then, I said, look, I love all of you. And I said, don't allow that to feel weird when I say I love you. I said, because you're getting wrapped up in other forms of love. If you say I love you to someone, many people might just think, oh, it's sexual.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have anything to do with that.
You're supposed to love without shame. Don't taint the love. The most powerful energy in the universe is love. When it's the universal energy of love that we're dealing with, not I love my boyfriend Tony. We're not on about that.
Yeah.
So
the love in showing care for another sentient being.
Yeah.
And compassion and understanding. That's love. When we work as mediums, and well, anybody that works in any field where you're working with the public to raise their mood, you have to be compassionate. You have to work with unconditional love, because that's what that soul needs. Because that soul feels unloved and it needs an expression of love. That soul needs a form of love in order to lift it, in order to help it to where it's got to go in its next phase, its next chapter of life. Oh, I just heard that song in my head, the Beatles song, All We Need Is Love. And it's definitely true right now, we do. But going back to that, we're all energy, and you know, the whole social distancing thing and the aura being expanded 5 feet apart each way. They know if we don't have energy interaction with with people we love and care about, it lowers the mood. Like, I'm a huggy person. When I'm around people that I care and love, I hug them. And you try and hug somebody right now, they'll run because they think you're contagious. And then what that does, because people are not getting that expression of love of a hug in a loving and conditional, caring way, consensual hugs, people will miss that. Because when we hug, the two souls, say for instance you and I, if we hug now, our energies will connect and they will blend with one another, and then there will be a release of positive energy, you know, the endorphins and so on in the brain will release, and there is a chemical chain reaction when two souls connect. When those two energies connect, you are creating a chemical reaction or a chain reaction of energy. And when we hug, it boosts the immune system for a start. It helps the body in so many ways when we hug someone we care about. When we are down and when we're depressed, all we want to do is be held by someone, whether it's our mom, our father, our brother, sister, best friend. We want to be held because we need to feel that moment of physical support and security, I think.
We got it from being a child, though, didn't we? Like, for when
From
you were a
being
child,
with your mom or dad.
your dad, yeah, has in their lap. Like, there was a guy called Bowlby, and he done, and then Mary Ainsworth, they done like research on attachment with children, and they showed, like, you know, what affects children's mental health, and how when especially if there's a lack of attachment to their mother, they found was a particular one. But they did some things where they would make the mum not have any expression while the child was trying to make the mum laugh, and she had to keep her face straight, and it made the children cry. And now we're being asked to wear face masks. So people say the eyes are the window to the soul, but without the smile, it's almost impossible to still know what someone's real expression on their face is.
As humans, we have to read facial expressions,
yeah,
in order to understand the situation we're in. You know, what are we facing? What is reflecting back to us in that instant? And if someone's face is covered, if you walk into a supermarket now with a face mask on, are you a shopper or a thief? Because you're not now going to know the difference.
No.
Because I can put a face covering on and say I'm going to the shop, and who's to say I'm not going to mug it? Because I mean, if I've got a face mask on now, you've allowed me now to cover my face legally, because man told me to.
They were stopping the teenagers wearing all them fashion masks before, because my son's got some. And I used to say to him, don't wear them, because they were like profiling, especially young black guys who were wearing them, thinking they were like, you know, up to no good. But now they're telling everyone to wear them. So you were saying at one stage that, oh, young people were using them to commit crimes and, you know, gang wars and all this stuff. But now you're just telling everyone legitimately, have them on. So,
it's crazy.
I could really get on my soapbox to do this.
As humans, we need proper physical interaction Because when we're with people, we are emitting and sending energy back and forth all the time. And our bodies need that energy interaction. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You need interaction. If living permanently now, because this new normal is permanent, you're going to live in a society now where the only energy field people are going to be resonating with is electromagnetic frequencies with technology, rather than ascending their consciousness to the universe. Children now, children are young children now just got devices in their hand. Children, you know, when we're born, the brain is in a different state, and the brain runs at a different frequency. The brain when we're born, from the age of birth to about 7, the brain runs at about 2 to 4 hertz, which is the theta state, or the delta state, the deep state. So, and the child has to be in that state of awareness in order to absorb all the information it needs to grow. At the same time that child from birth to 7 years, it is at its most, it's the highest point of connecting to the spirit world. It is at the strongest point, because we've come from spirit, and we've been born into the physical, but the veil between the two worlds is still very thin because of the state the brain is in.
That's why they go into initiation at 7, you know, to stop that there's veil thickening.
Yeah.
So they put them into spiritual initiation at age 7. So that process where most kids go to sleep doesn't happen.
See, and this is why parents experience toddlers having invisible friends. There's spirit phenomena going on, that people see their children communicating with something or someone that they can't see.
I had them.
You know, and I've had experiences like that. I don't remember my experience as a child talking to the spirit world. I found that out as I entered my spiritual path. My mum told me about it. But within those 7 years, if children are born into a spiritual family, then that child has a great advantage, because the family will keep them in that state of awareness and won't allow them to think it's unnormal to communicate with energy, because we are energy. And the parents that raise, spiritual parents that raise children that are having experiences, are obviously going to be more encouraged.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's going to happen an awful lot now, because of the ascension in consciousness and awareness of humanity. The new souls are coming in now, and have been coming in, you know, for the last couple of years. And that new generation that is forming, they are going to be part of the change to the world. As light workers now, we're here to prep it and pave the way for them.
I think it started about 2012. There was a shift in something in 2012, and I think kids started to become more and more and more aware. And kids who were born this year, like my sister's young baby and my friend's baby, they're like straight away. It's like the vision was locked on things and could look around, and you know, our kids have that, usually have that hazy thing for a while. They seem to just know things already, and they've got personalities straight away. They've got likes and dislikes and what they like to hear on the TV playing and stuff, like from like couple weeks old. And I'm like, this is, you can see that these are ones who were born, they were born remembering. My youngest one is 4, And as soon as he was born, I just knew. I was like, you know, I could tell. He's like, I just like a little old man energy. I'm like, these kids are born remembering. These ones didn't get it wiped. So they're going to questioning who they are. They're coming confident. This new generation of children will not put up with what we've put up with as humanity. We're paving the way for them now. We'll be able to teach them, don't do what we did. And they're going to fly because they know their worth. They're born knowing their worth. They're not going to question it. So this is going to be a good steps for humanity, having humans who are confident in who they are and no one can tell them differently.
Yeah. It's mightily important now that we keep children. Well, it's important now to allow children understand that they are energy and what they truly are, that they are a spirit body. You know, they are a spirit having a human experience. A child only becomes frightened of spirit communication because it lacks understanding of the experience that's happening. They won't necessarily have forgot that they're from spirit. They're just not understanding that experience. They're having a spirit contact and they could come uneasy with it. And it could be because the energy that's come into that child's awareness, that child doesn't like the energy because the soul of the child is ascended enough to know the energy that's with them is not of the greater good. So it will become defensive and scream or whatever. Or it's because it lacks understanding. And if we help children and nurture them with spiritual knowledge and help them understand what those experiences are, then they won't become frightened of it because they will begin to understand that is natural.
Definitely.
You know, the story when I was a child, my mum told me about a friend of the family that passed, and they were on holiday and they fell from a cliff, and my mum was telling me about this family friend, and she's like, Spence, I've got to tell you about such and such. And I was like, right, okay. And she said, and I remember she said to me that she said first, he's gone to Jesus. And when she said that, apparently my response was, I know. And she says, what do you mean? And then I said, he fell, he bumped his head, and then I laid myself in the bath in a certain position. And apparently the way I laid myself in the bath was how he was found on the rocks. When my mum phoned the mum, you know, of the lad that had died. And she said, I was constantly talking to something. But I humbly, honestly don't remember any of those experiences as a child. Why? I don't know.
I think it's because you don't need to, innit? Basically, I think because a lot of the stuff I remember being really young. I remember things about my life when I was really young, but then I remember because I went to nursery early and stuff like that. I think because of my birthday being November, they let me start earlier, even though I shouldn't have because I was 2, I think. But then there's some things that I only know because my mum told me. So I know about my imaginary friends because my mum told me, and they were like brothers. And she said she used to have to set a place at the table. She'd come up, be walking up the stairs and hear me talking to them in my room. So it wasn't just something I did in front of her, like just to like be a diva.
Yeah.
what I was doing. I remember when I used to go to my granddad's house, I was always scared of the landing. And then when I was older, my mum told me growing up there, there'd been all spirit activity. All the spirits used to walk up the stairs and then across the landing. And I used to hate going up to, I used to get the shivers, but at that point I was only young. I didn't know that there was, that they had loads of spirit phenomena in my granddad's house, like things coming off the side and just dropping, people always walking up the stairs, all sounds, scratches on people's faces in the morning. There's so much going on. But I didn't know, obviously, when I was little, when I used to be there, but I used to be petrified upstairs. I used to just feel like there was loads of things watching me, and I used to think things were going to come out the corner to get me. So I must have been aware of energy enough to be frightened of it because it felt dark.
Yeah.
But I wasn't aware per se that it was spirit. It was just a fear feeling, like you said earlier on, about not understanding these energies weren't nice. They didn't feel nice.
Yeah.
But then I think I was what you would. I think on the surface I appeared quite a normal child, but then I knew for me that I wasn't.
Yeah.
And some friends at school probably caught on, but. But like there was a time, age 7, where I started having visions of like rituals and groups of hooded people around fires and stuff and doing rituals and sacrifice and stuff. And I was just like this 7-year-old. By then I'd become a bit of a bookworm. And so I started like chanting to myself all the time, I love God and not the devil, because I was scared of these images that was coming into my head. And it's only now, like I told you earlier on, and like saying this publicly, because obviously you think 4 years, you just sound like a little crazy kid. But when I think now, I think I probably was being shown images.
Yeah.
That from somewhere. And my response was to try and protect myself spiritually. And at that point, I was scared of mirrors and everything. I thought I would see things in mirrors. I was scared that something was going to come out in the mirror. If I looked in the mirror too long, I was going to be scared. So I went toilet at school, washed my hands quickly and run out quickly. Like I didn't want to be anywhere on my own because I think that the things that were in my mind. Now, if I'd have verbalized this to anyone at the time, and I'd probably gone to like a child psychologist or something, and I think I was crazy. But in reality, as my life has evolved, I'm a psychic and a medium. And it makes sense, but there's a thin line. It depends who hears what you're saying as to what the interpretation of it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some of my earliest memories of. But even then, I didn't know it was spiritual.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a thing. But I used to always think I could see things in my bedroom at night, see things moving. I used to always think that things should be together as well, that I could see the energy on things, and that like dolls should be together and stuff, because I could see the energy, that everything's got energy. But now I look back, I think if my child said this stuff to me, I'd be like, what? But actually I probably wouldn't, because of who I am. Because my children have seen and experienced loads of things. And I don't tell them they're crazy or anything. We just rationalize it. So sometimes there might be a logical explanation, and we'll go for the logical first.
Yeah.
I think that's important, not to always directly say everything's spiritual, even though it is spiritual, but we do live in a physical. So I think as a parent, I think the best way when if there's anyone watching who's in the same situation as me, you're spiritual, you've got children, encourage their spirituality, don't force it, but equally tell them that in their everyday life and everyday encounters, it is fine for them to behave just normal. They don't have to be with their friends talking about their spirits and stuff if they don't feel comfortable, because ridicule will kill their spiritual gift faster than anything. So tell them in the safety of your house or around other people who you might be friends with, do your thing. But if there's anywhere they feel that they're going to be ridiculed or bullied, then hold it in and just self-preserve and self-care. And
Yeah.
that's what I've done for my children, and that has worked, that they can be free at home to talk about things they feel or see. But when they're with their own friends, it's just being a normal boy.
Yeah. Yeah. You just remind me when you said about encouraging the children. There's a friend of mine on Facebook, and they put up videos sometimes of their children meditating. They're all sitting on the sofa, all lined up, and they're playing meditation music, and the children, and I'm talking like the age of, like, I think 3 is the youngest, I think, to about 11 or 12, right? And even the 3-year-old that doesn't quite know what's going on, what the others do in the room, he is copying them.
Yeah,
and he is sitting with them, and he although he's like, he's sitting, and he'll shut his eyes for a minute and you watch him, and then he was opening his eyes again as he say, oh, we've still got to sit with our eyes closed, and then he'll sit again. But that's a 3-year-old. You expect that because they've got to learn what they're doing. But because the other children are slightly older and they are really doing it really well, that 3-year-old will just mimic what they are doing, and he will sit just like the others and become self-aware. I mean, that's a great upbringing, getting all your children to meditate, and just and it's not even getting your children to meditate and do a guided meditation with them and say, right, we're going to take you down a path. You don't need to worry about all that. Not with children. Just put on some nice, peaceful music and just say, look, let's just sit in silence for 5 minutes and just rest the body, and tell them that's what they're doing, because that is what they are doing. When we meditate, we are resting the body and mind, and we are healing the body and the mind. I watched a video the other day, and I will remember the quote that they said. Sleep is unconscious meditation. Meditation is conscious sleep.
Awesome.
And there's a lot of truth in that. You know, when we sleep, you know, I've said before that we are our soul authentic self. We are visiting the spirit world, and we are having an etherical energy experience from out of the 3D matrix.
Yeah.
And whatever we dream, that is what we are experiencing. And then we wake up, and then we're in this reality. When we meditate, we do the same sort of thing what we're doing in the dream state. It's just the difference is we're conscious of it, or more conscious of it, because obviously we're in an awakened state when we are doing it. So the body meditates when we sleep, and when we choose to meditate in the awakened state, we're also meditating then. As humans, as an overall race, humanity does not spend enough time on its spiritual development. My mate was on about it, my housemate, and it's a really low number. It's something like we spend about not even 10% of our lifespan in a form of spiritual state, in a spiritual state or searching spirituality. We spend, the majority of us, about 10% of our lives spiritually dealing with ourselves or working on ourselves spiritually. It should be much greater than that.
I think that's why
it should be like 50-50.
I think that's why I get frustrated when other things have to take precedence.
Like eating and stuff.
I get, like, my uni work and stuff, I get resentful, and I chose to go to university. But at that time, I was on a spiritual break. But now I'm like, why do I have to do this stuff? I just want to sit by my altar and talk to the ancestors and put some incense on and meditate and align myself. Because
Exactly.
that's when I'm in my bliss. When I'm in
Yeah.
my spiritually aligned self, I'm in my bliss. And that's when my children are happiest as well. So then they're happy. And that's when my kids would do things like meditation together. We get African drums out and drum. So we like the shamans do. So the drum gets you in that state as well of that heightened awareness. But to them, we're just doing. Mason calls it, let's do the African band. So, so I don't
But
say
that's
to,
awesome, ain't it?
yeah, I say to him, I don't say to him, oh, this is a form of meditation, Mason. So you beat this fast, I'll beat this fast, and then we'll make up songs that I'll do with them. So we're like, like projecting and chanting, but I just make something for them to repeat, and we're all high vibrational. When my oldest son was younger, we used to do like manifestation boards and think we had a song called Thank You that anyone who sang it with us when they come to our house, it instantly raised their vibration. They'd hold hands with me and my kids in a circle and we'd sing our thank you song. And everyone would say it raised their vibration a lot. Yeah, people come to, so we do the thank you song. Everyone. It would make them happy. Even the kid's dad, who can be like Mardy Bum of the Century, he even gets happy. And I've taught Mason it because Mason wasn't around when we learnt the thank you song, but instantly he learned it, like he'd always known it. And that come of the secret. Do you remember 2010? I had my little shop back in 2010. Angels, Mind, Body, and Spirit, and we used to. I used to sometimes play the video of The Secret in the background because for some reason the music in it and them talking about the positive stuff used to really lift my mood.
Yeah.
And that's where I got the idea of having an attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
Even this morning when I woke up, I was like, thank you, ancestors. Like, for us, I'm seeing another day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because the gratitude alone can raise the vibration that you're actually thanking Spirit for being with you and keeping you safe, and so that they have that reciprocity between you. Like it's like feeding them by giving them love and gratitude.
Yeah.
So that's what I want my children to have, gratitude for who they are, what they are, and to know how powerful and beautiful they are, and how they can do and be anything they want to be, that there's nothing, even me, I teach them, don't live by my beliefs. Like, you might be comfortable with things I believe now, but please examine your own beliefs.
Yeah.
It's the things that might be totally different to me in the end. But I can't argue with that because that's their journey and their path. I'm not their owner. I'm like a trusted keeper and caretaker.
A facilitator.
Yeah. And my job's just to get them to, I don't know why, I just felt everything just rocked like that. It was like the earth shock. It was only my energy, but it went like that. It was like, oh.
What, just then?
What was that?
Just then?
Yeah, while I was talking, it felt like there was a tremor, but I felt my head like almost like, it was weird.
I experienced something like that the other day, and I don't know what it is, so I can't explain it.
Yeah.
There's times as well when I'm meditating, and because now I lie on my bed, it's just easier, and I get this really weird feeling. It's like I'm lying on my bed and I can feel energy sort of going round me like that.
Yeah.
So it feels like my energy swirls in my body. It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
And it's something new that's been going on the last months or so. I've noticed it happen.
It's definitely new. There's a heightened something during meditation, isn't there? Because I feel like my body's actually levitating at points, and I know I'm not levitating, but I feel like I'm lying on my bed. I feel like I'm lifting because the energies have shifted that much. And I think this is why people are having more contact with like other beings and stuff, and people, beings from other places, because our vibration is raising. It can start to meet theirs. It's closing that gap.
Yeah.
And our light is shining. It's like a beacon to them to know that it's getting safer for them to come nearer to more of humanity, not just a single sighting now and again. We are starting to become a safer connection for them, because obviously the connection with them would be more telepathic unless they manifest in front of us in the physical for us to understand their physical body. But I think that as we lift, they are starting to feel like they can connect with us and make a safer connection now.
Yeah.
So that's why most important for people awake to just be brave, trust the process, keep nothing. You're not going to be harmed if you just trust in your guides, in the Most High, the All, the Divine, whatever you like to call, the biggest, the divine energy. Believe in love, hold love dear, unconditional love. Just don't be scared, because fear will just, you're going to experience things this year that you will be like, what was that? But don't be scared. This is a time of massive spiritual change. And that's why me and Spencer were saying about the meditation, how it's changed for us. We've been spiritually awake for years. And so for us to notice such a change is quite phenomenal, isn't it, really? Because not much did change in many years. Suddenly it's like, whoa.
Yeah, because the vibration of the whole planet is getting quicker. When we meditate and when we communicate with spirit, the vibration and frequency within, well, the vibration of the body gets faster. That's why you have the feeling of levitation or ascending, because your vibration is going faster. Then you're becoming lighter, because on an energy level, you are changing everything within your dynamics of your body. So when we sit and we meditate and we communicate with spirit, we're raising our consciousness, we're raising our awareness to another point of awareness. And when we set that intention to raise our consciousness, the vibration within the body then starts quickening. As it starts getting faster, the veil becomes thinner, because then the universe slowed their vibration down and we meet in the middle. And that's then the communication point, you see.
That's why it's so important right now to meditate, to connect, so that we can get close to the spirit world, who are not there to harm you. They're not there to do. It's so important now to get yourself in the right, like, I'm not saying that people have got to turn vegan, because I'm not a vegan, but
no, I still eat meat at times.
Just limit things and try and drink like filtered water that's been filtered, so some of the rubbish in it. Maybe I take boron capsules at the moment each day, because they're good for decalcifying the pineal gland. You can drink things that are like seaweed, things like sea moss or bladderwrack. Them things are good for decalcifying. Apple cider vinegar. So they're things, the physical things that you can take to use to help yourself. And then meditating on your third eye, meditating, cleansing your third eye, getting it vibrating nicely in your heart. These things are so important at the moment. And then your throat chakra, to communicate with others in the collective, communicate with people who might be just awakening, help to facilitate other people's awakenings. All this stuff is service to humanity, which lightens you again. So it's the best time to be the best spiritual person you can be. Go team.
Exactly. It is the best time now. And yeah, this lockdown has become an inconvenience for many of our lives, but overall, more people be meditating or dipping into learning to what meditation is.
It slowed everyone down, didn't it? So suddenly people were like started talking more to other people as well, and like, look how many people joined the collective what does it, collective dream space, is that what it's called?
The collective meditation for the planet.
Yeah, it's because you were doing the meditations in our group.
Collective dream space group. Yeah,
and look how many people joined to do that. People started to seek. So in a way, lockdown might have backfired on the others.
Yeah.
The other side in a way, because they wanted all this stuff to stop the Great Awakening. And in fact, in so many ways, it increased it, because people have had time to awaken spiritually and awaken to knowledge that the things that are going on that they would have never even stopped and thought about in their busy life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's been a beautiful side to lockdown, even though it's been a pain in the bum.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right now is definitely the time to meditate. We need to now sit in that peace and quiet and start asking the universe questions, because the universe reflects back to us what we put out. So if we meditate and send out questions to the universe because we want answers for certain things, the universe will guide you to those answers. But when we ask the universe for that information, you must do it from your heart space, and you must do it with the intention of finding truth. Then the universe will guide you correctly, because remember, because we are multidimensional, multi-reality, we are in contact with multiple forces all the time. It's not just your spirit guide that talks to you, or it's not just your higher self that talks to you. There are other outer sources and influences that are putting thoughts in your mind, and you have to decipher what's truthful thoughts and what's not, because there are different entities in the universe that are on different dimensions, and some in lower dimensions, that will influence you. So when we meditate, we have to put ourselves in that protection of unconditional love and truth, and a follower of universal law.
Yeah.
And then when you've set your intention to truth and unconditional love, that's when you should be starting to send out your thoughts to the universe.
Yeah.
Because you're in your purest, your mind is in its purest form then, if your intention is set to unconditional love.
Yeah.
I mean, if people want to connect to dark forces and carry on.
If that's your thing, and then you just take whatever comes with that. Like, as an adult, you make your choices. As you were just talking, I pulled out my angels and ancestors cards, because I felt a voice say, give cards to the collective. So just before we close, and it's along with what we've just been saying. So there's a medicine mother.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And that says, honor your inner knowing.
Oh wow!
Talk about the meditation, and then you've got the oracle. If anyone can see her, and that wait for important information. I mean, you just said ask questions to the universe.
Yeah.
the sage, and it says be devoted and committed. So it went along with everything we were just saying, is to, at the moment, go within, honor your inner knowing, ask the questions, wait for the answers. They will come. Even if you ask the question before you go to sleep and have a notepad by your bed to pick up a dream, it could be, the answer could be in a dream. And then devoted and committed. Spirituality, even though it can be so like, it's not like religion, it still takes some rigidity. Do a regular something, a regular practice of something. Even if you only commit 10 minutes in the morning to a meditation, or if you've got 30 minutes every 3 days, but just something that gives a pattern of regularity. So your spirit team start to know that you're devoting some of you, and they know that they can work with you like back, that you want to do this, because it takes them energy too. So they need to know that we're giving out energy as well, so they can give in energy. So like a sponge, if you don't squeeze it, it can't take in any more water. So you have to squeeze out, and then they can give you more knowledge, like water's consciousness, give you more knowledge. Like
we have to absorb and process what we get. And when we get the information from the universe, notice how it makes you feel. If it makes you uneasy or it doesn't feel right, then that means the information you're receiving, it doesn't resonate with you, which means it can be an untruth. It could be a lie. So that's why when we get information, if I hear something and I get an instant feeling of peace come over me, then I know there's truth in it. If it niggles my stomach or makes me angry, I know it's a lie.
Yeah.
Because it's triggering.
They say your feelings are the best guide to anything. Like I started talking in the beginning of this about anxiety. If you're spiritual, use anxiety as a guidance tool to that uneasiness in your thoughts or in your energy. The same way you're just saying about, if you hear some information, if it doesn't resonate, it's not right for you at all. There's some circumstances where later on in the day, you'll be having a conversation and you realize it's for the person that you're talking to. It's not even your information. You're just a carrier for it. But most times it's just information that's not true. It wasn't for you, and it probably come from a source of energy that wasn't working in your best interest. So I always have, we're going to work with energy. Can I work with energy that's of the highest vibration that I can work with, and that will work with my highest good?
Yeah, that should be your principle all the time, for the greater good of humanity.
Yeah.
That should be our intention always. Work from the heart through unconditional love, and for the purpose, for the greater good of humanity, to be a service to others.
Well, the service to others means being a service to yourself as well, doesn't it? It's like all one and the same thing. And being service to you, you're a service to your ancestors and the people you'll be ancestors to. It's all one big pot. So wherever you put in that pot, if you were thinking of doing a meal for everyone, be conscious of what you're putting in the pot, because everyone somehow will take a part of that pot. So would you want to poison your own offspring? No, so don't put anything in that's going to hurt anyone else. Be conscious and be the best person you can be, and you can't go far wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think we'll leave it there for today.
We've got the key. We've got the secret.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. But it's been a pleasure.
As always, brother.
As always, sister. Yeah, it's good to get. We'll do more talks, obviously, and we'll think of more stuff to talk about, and you know, upload more videos. But for now, please take my love, my light, my blessings, and I'll see you all again soon.
Namaste.